day, Israel. Have you ever heard the phrase, whatever could go wrong has gone wrong? Well, I'm that guy this week. I have the most interesting backup poison arrow information to share with you before we get to the scripture phase, but it appears I'm currently in the perfect storm of fuckery right now. If it wasn't so frustrating, it would be comical. So I will need a little extra time to finally see my way through to start writing. In the meantime, this is something I wrote a week or so ago. Check it out. According to Wikipedia under Black Indians in the United States. Subtitle, Genealogy and Genetics. Cutting to the chase. Quote, some may work from oral history of the family and try to confirm stories of native ancestry through genealogical research and DNA testing. However, DNA cannot reliably indicate Native American ancestry, and no DNA test can indicate tribal origin. DNA testing and research have provided some data about the extent of Native American ancestry among African Americans, which varies in the general population. Listen closely. Based on the work of geneticists, a PBS series on African Americans explained that while most African Americans are racially mixed, it is relatively rare that they have Native American ancestry. According to the PBS series, the most common non-black mix is English and Scottish. Listen closely. Another study also indicated that, despite family stories to the contrary, relatively few Native Americans have African American heritage. Stop. Bingo. So as you can plainly hear, contrary to the popular belief given to you to proceed, two studies, one based on so-called African Americans with Native American genetic ancestry, and one based on Native Americans with so-called African American heritage. Guess what? Both indicate a very small, sometimes rare, admixture of the two races. But think about it for a minute. The mass majority of the images used to justify their Esauism is of two people who are clearly different. Yes, they may hang out and still be dark, but they are still clearly two different races of people hanging out together, and not the continents of an admixture of races like we see in the mulattoes. I know you want to say those genetic tests were done on oppressive patriarchy DNA markers, and most of the admixture happened on the chick side of things. I got that. I got that. Let's continue for more clues in yet a third study, shall we? Listen closely. Quote, a study reported in the American Journal of Human Genetics stated, personal quote, we analyzed the European genetic contribution to 10 populations of African descent in the United States. mtDNA haplogroup analysis show no evidence of a significant maternal Amerindian contribution to any of the 10 populations. Despite this, some still insist that most African Americans have at least some Native American heritage. As Harvard University historian Henry Louis Gates Jr. wrote in 2009, here are the facts. Only 5% of all black Americans have at least 12.5% Native American ancestry, the equivalent of at least one great-grandparent. Those, personal quote, high cheekbones and, personal quote, straight black hair your relatives brag about at every family reunion and holiday meal since you were 2 years old, where did they come from? To paraphrase a well-known French saying, personal quote, seek the white man. Stop stepping on toes. Bingo. But I do think he's wrong. I'm going to prove it later on. I don't care what Aunt Eunice and Uncle Buck say. They are perpetrating the fraud. But don't worry. You may not be part Native American, but by the end of this series, it shall be concluded. A lot of you have an excellent chance of being the descendant of an admixture seldom spoken of. An excellent chance. What justification do I possess to say such ugly things, you ponder? My tried and true, nothing under the sun justification. Again, when the scriptures told us the evildoers heard my God tell granddaddy Abraham about his blessings, you know, they realized they had at least 400 years to lay a Rephaim and strange flesh landmine throughout the entire region. Thus, while my God told our ancestors to kill everything that breathed, well, the exact same thing happened to us on this side of the globe and in the Americas. As scripture and history attest, our enemies cloned black and red people with much cattle, American buffalo, who didn't know their left hand from their right, even though the Mayans left buildings for them to occupy, like the Greeks. They were living on the open plain with teepees without even a donkey. Well, our enemies hybridized and populated the Americas with familiar-looking programs for domestication clones before our ancestors arrived. I will expose who they are at the end of the video. But if you think I'm off base, let's continue, please. Quote, geneticists from Kim Tallbear to the Indigenous People Council on Biocolonialism agree that DNA testing is not how tribal identity is determined, with Tallbear stressing that, personal quote, people think there is a DNA test to prove you are Native American. There isn't. And the IPCB noted that, personal quote, Native American markers are not found solely among Native Americans. While they occur more frequently among Native Americans, they are also found in people in other parts of the world. Tallbear also stresses that tribal identity is based in political citizenship, culture, lineage, and family ties, not genetics. Example, bingo. So basically, it's not about blood with them. If you hung out with the Indian, you're supposed to be an Indian. Also, why are the Native Americans the only people that do not have a baseline DNA marker that identifies them as a distinct people with a distinct beginning? The answer? From their very own mouth via oral history. The mass majority of the people you consider Israel today are the products of new and fresh people. They came out from the ground. But wait, I got a surprise. Check it out.